Coach Lester, coming up a 55-3 win in your MAC opener against Ball State. Just touch a little bit on that game. Special teams obviously played well. Big start to the game.
Yeah, I do. I want to start off in saying I'd like to send my thoughts and prayers to the people of Las Vegas that were involved in that tragedy. It's been miserable to watch and read, While reading that, watching the film was fun to watch. I thought our guys, I thought they came out strong. Watching the film, I thought we played physical. I thought we played 60 minutes, So, anytime you come out, we played 63 different players. And I think our highest rep count guy was at 64, which is great. It's Spears. Drake Spears played 64 plays or 65 plays. Normally you got guys in the 80s and 70s. Donnie Ernsberger's a guy that's up there. So a lot of our starters were in the 40, 45, 50, which in a long season, having a game of 45, 50 for their body wear and tear is a huge thing. So didn't really plan on that, but I was happy that we had a chance to take care of our guys a little bit, and they played a physical brand of football that we want to play.
Tim, I know you're a numbers guy, and we see all the stats that the NCAA posted, but like advanced statistics, is there a favorite of yours or one that you feel like tells a lot about your team?
Obviously, turnover margin is a big one. Obviously, I have my own calculation that I do, to tell our team whether we're going to win or lose, and how people, how games are won. The big ones I look at, I always look at rushing offense. It's a big one for me. If you look at the last 15, 20 years of this league, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 team in rushing are normally the first, second, and second in the West and East. And right now it's Toledo, us, Ohio, and Buffalo are the top 4 rushing teams, and probably ranked 1 and 2 in each respective division. So I've looked at that for 15 years in our league especially. So that's a big one. Scoring defense is the other one I look at. Yards don't matter. I had the year that when I was at Elmhurst College, we went 10-2. We gave up a ton of yards. We were so good in the red zone. People were kicking field goals, and our scoring defense was unbelievable. Our yardage was bad, Same way on offense. We're getting field position crazy right now, so yards really don't matter. It felt like a 600-yard game, but it looked only at 400 and some because we started on the 30, we started on the 40. Our average starting field position for the game was the 50, which is crazy, So those are the first two I look at: scoring defense and rushing offense. Then I look at pass efficiency, and those are kind of my main 3. There's so much information, and I think a lot of them are. There's too many factors that could change them, But between the turnover margin and then rush offense, the scoring defense, and then efficiency on passing are really my ones I look at. And then when you look at us against Buffalo, we're all both in the top. We're right next to each other on every one. I showed that to our team on Monday. Scoring defense, they're 2, we're 4. Rushing offense, we're 2, they're 4. Then there's ones we're 2 and 3, 1 and 3, 1 and 2. So that's kind of how I've used those stats with our guys, and they see that this is going to be a good one.
So when you talk about your own calculations, like say John throws the ball out of bounds because there's nothing there, like do you just take that away from him?
Well, if I was grading quarterbacks, yes, I have my own grading system for that too, as far as efficiency. I grade their feet on every play. I grade their decisions, positive or negative, on every play. I don't have to do that with John. Coach Johns does that, which is nice. I do a calculation of touchdowns and turnovers, period. So I always say it's a simple game. It's about touchdowns and turnovers. So you pretty much offensively, every time we score a touchdown, we get a point. Every time we turn the ball over, we get minus a point. And our goal is +3 by the end of the game. Defensively, every time you give up a touchdown, it's -1. Every time you get a turnover, it's +1. Goals -1. Special teams should be at 0. So we have a big board up in our locker room that we added up, and we'll have a team goal. We're +9 in this game, and you're going to win every time you're +9. And I'm not taking anything away from special teams because it's really important. But when the score between our team and their team, when it's 0, +1, or -1, it normally comes down to the field goal kicker, in those close games. Then we look at field goal percentage, and normally that is the determining factor. And if it's +2, you're going to win. If it's -2 or more, you're going to lose. It's 100%. Well, it's 97%. of all the years I've calculated back, it's 97% effective, which it's nothing against turnover margin. That's a really good percentage. I mean, I think it's 87% effective, but 97 is better than 87, you know? And I really just want our guys to understand. And I felt it this week because we held them to field goals, which is huge on our field goals are nothing unless it's a 0 +1 -1 game, you know? So that's kind of how we talk about stats, you know?
Yeah.
For a guy who's a math guy, I don't like all the other stats. You know, we used to have the board with like 30 different offensive stats and 30 different defensive stats, and our goal on second and medium is to get half of it back. Did we do that? Like, I never even knew all our, you know, and at the end it would say, we won this one, we lost this one, we won it, we lost it, won it, game, we won. And I never understood how that all worked. Or we'd lose a bunch and win, or we'd win a bunch and lose. And so we've taken all those off the board. And I want the offense to know, if you're +3 or higher, you played well enough to win. You know, defense, if you're -1 or better, they were +1 this week, which is amazing, you know. You played good enough to win. Special teams, you just want to be even. We were +2 on special teams. First play, turnover, touchdown. It was a pretty good first play, you know. And so I want them to know, like Michigan State, our defense was -1. They played good enough to win. Offense didn't. You know, I don't want to beat around the bush. I want them to look up there and know who did what they're supposed to do, you know. So it's a good way that we've always, if you were standing in front of my team and said it's a simple game, what's it about? They'd say touchdowns and turnovers, you know, because I feel like that's what we have them focus on, because they can't focus on a bunch of stuff. I just want to focus on those things, and in my opinion, those matter most.
Coach, speaking of special teams and statistics, I think Western's ranked #1 in the nation.
Yeah, I don't know how that. I didn't study it, but I would like to. Special teams efficiency. You throw the word efficiency on something, and it can be anything. I don't know what the calculations are for special team efficiency, but it wouldn't shock me with the way our guys have played.
But I'm talking the second part of the question, which I'm going to go for two-part question. Darius Phillips, even when he's not touching the ball, John and I were talking about this earlier in gym, how he's changed what special teams have to do from the other team, how they have to prepare differently to try to keep the ball out of number 4's hands. Can you comment about that and talk about a little bit how he was used on offense?
Yeah, it's been weeks of saying he's changing the game without even touching the ball. And when you get to that point and you're a guy that can do that, that's amazing. You know, when you get to the point where you're changing a game without even touching it, you know what I mean? And he does. The field position we've had is unbelievable. The one negative part for that is we went 2 games in a row where we purposely didn't put any of his plays in, and he wasn't getting touches. I mean, when he touches the ball 5, 6, 7 times a game, something great happens, you know? And so I think he touched the ball 1 time against Wagner and maybe 2 times against Idaho. And so it was definitely time to get him back, you know, touching the ball. And the good thing is, since we didn't use the offense, we didn't use any of his plays for 3 weeks, we got to add like 3 a week. So the package is getting healthy. You know what I mean? Where we got enough that he knows what to do. And we had more planned for even this game. You know, we knew the second drive he was going in. We were planning on him doing it the 4th drive. Didn't think we'd be up 28 at the time, you know, by the 4th drive. And so then we canceled that out, you know, and we're able to just continue to add to his, you know, because my job is to get our best players the ball, you know, and he's definitely a guy that can do a lot, and he, you know, we just keep adding, and he's comfortable with it, and man, it makes a difference. You know what I mean? It makes a big difference. And really on the special teams, the efficiency-wise, I'm sure a lot of that's field position, and our field position has been unbelievable because of him, you know. The hard part is our kickoff return team. Our kickoff return team, it's hard. You know, most teams get 99% kicks. You know, our team's going to get everything. We're going to get bloop, we're going to get onside, we're going to get squib, we're going to get sky. So it's like, how much do you practice? You have to practice more than normal, because we're probably going to get 80% specialty kicks. You know what I mean? And great job. At halftime, we knew it was coming. We're talking about it on the headset, going to all the things. Something's coming. It's either an onside, a blue kick. Like, they're going to try to steal a possession here. And Anton Fair caught it, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. And they touched it before they gave him a chance to catch it. And that was 15 yards. We're on the 35 going in again, you know? So, you know, Coach Kenny has done an unbelievable job, and same with the players on that kick return team, of being ready for all the different stuff. punt's a little different. Punt return is it's either they're either gonna rugby it or kick it out of bounds. It's really the only two things. Whereas on kickoff team they can do a lot more. So it's I think what he's brought to the table is special, and I think our coaches and other players have done a good job of understanding that we need to be ready for all this stuff that most teams only see once a year. We're going to see it, all year, and we've been prepared.
Before we move on to Buffalo, can you tell me or tell us what your conversation is like with Mike right after the game? When you went out?
It was quick. I mean, he's one of my favorite people in college football, and I felt horrible in that situation for him to be in that situation, to get off to a bad start like that, and never really be able to get any momentum going, and had some drop balls too, and a lot of that was because our guys were hitting. I mean, they were hitting good. So I gave him a hug. I said, "Hey man, I wish you the best." It was quick. I wasn't going to try to have a conversation with him. I knew he didn't want to. He just wanted to get out of there and get home and get to next week. And I talked to him forever pregame. About all, just about life and how his new house is, and he asked me about how Quinn's doing and he's liking it there, so yeah, it was short, and gave him a hug and just said, "Wish you the best."
You talk a little bit about Donnie. He's been known as just a ferocious blocker, but career highs last week in receptions and yards. Is this something we can see a bit more on? Is he thrown in the passing game?
Yeah, we've been trying. It hasn't worked yet. I mean, we under through the one at USC, which would have been nice. We've had more and more in for him every week, and he's a very talented pass catcher. He just last year he got nine balls thrown his way, and so he's one of our guys that has a bunch of experience coming back, and he is way better with the ball in his hands than people think. It's a very rare thing for the first person to bring him down, you know what I mean? And so I was glad with him being able to block as well as he does, and with us being able to run it, it really does open some pass opportunities for him, and we need to continue to expand his role as we move on. And we've, like I said, we've had some in every game. This one, they seem to all hit, whereas in some of the other games they didn't. We had a bunch of Michigan State. We dialed them up a couple times, just never, it was covered, And whereas this game, his plays really, they hit, and it was good for him because we're always trying to find ways to make sure he gets his touches.
This offense seems, so much more dangerous 5 weeks in, mostly because of the vertical. We're seeing, we saw D get loose, we saw Keyshawn
yeah.
touchdown. Is that more it's just been a slow progression with the play calling, or John's confidence, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. I mean, we talked about the Michigan State game. We dialed up 8 shots and only got 1 to the sweet spot. I mean, we got 1 to Ricci, who didn't make a play. He went up one-on-one and almost made the play. All the 7 others never even got thrown. You know what I mean? We had a receiver run the wrong route. We had a quarterback throw it out of bounds. We had 2 sacks. We had one time where they blitzed and we had to shut it down and throw a hitch instead. So he's not really calling it any differently. But those guys need to have confidence in that deep ball. And we've been today was our best deep ball day in practice of the year. I think we hit like 7, because it's just something you got to do, And we overthrew the first one to D in the first quarter. I sat down with John. I said, "Hey, you got a little bit of adrenaline going. Like you're not going to be able to throw it that far because D was flying. Like if you can overthrow D, like no one else is gonna, like you're gonna take something off that, And the next one he dropped into D on the post, and then he hit Keyshawn on the post too, So he's coming. It's whatever his 5th start. He's getting more and more comfortable with each of the throws as he goes. Because once it's all going, once we get the outside running game going, the inside running game, the play action game going, then you have a complete offense that you can make adjustments on the fly. We knew it wasn't going to look like that in game 1, game 2, you have to just kind of spoon feed it in there. You don't want to throw 20 in the first game and lose by 90. You're trying to play to your strength but develop your weaknesses. And I think Kevin has done a great job of loosening up that. We've loosened up some of the RPO stuff to give John a little bit more freedom. which is helping his confidence. It's taking a little bit of pressure off the run game as well. So our run game is moving along better. Because in the first couple games, we put a lot of weight on the O-line and running back shoulders, and just because we didn't want to turn it over. And I'm happy with their progression. We're going to play a lot of good teams coming up, but we're in a pretty good place. We always say in our building, we always say begin with the end in mind. So we have to figure out where we wanted to be at the end and figure out what's the best way to get there. Don't worry about game one, just worry about begin with the end in mind. So we've tried to make all our decisions, like whether to use the Darius package in week 3 and 4. After we didn't use it in week 2, we figured I'd be better if we waited. And that sometimes you get caught up in the moment, but if we continue to make decisions for the end, then I think you can see us building,
Coach, staying on the passing game, why, in your mind, why has Washington Watson worked so well lately?
The biggest thing is the, safeties in general aren't as good at cover guys as corners, or they'd be corners. So we've been able to get him. He's in the slot. He's working on safeties, Keyshawn's also, he's the one guy that's been the receiver his whole life. You know what I mean? He's been playing receiver the most, and he's a little bit more comfortable. I'm really proud of the way he bounced back from his injury in week 3. Was it? He had an injury, and then in 4 and 5, he's really come along. Which is good. I think D's really coming along. Is a better route runner, a ferocious blocker. Same way with Gio. So a lot of times it'll depend on the quarterback. It'll depend on the defense and what we're seeing and who has the best matchup. And I know when I played, Steve Neal was kind of my guy, but in certain games, Corey Olsen had 265 yards receiving in one game because the way they played it, he was going to be the one. And he had an NCAA breaking day, which I think Corey beat last year against Ball State. But that game was just an unbelievable game for him. So I think John, the biggest thing I focus with John is just taking what they give you coverage-wise. We'll get to the matchups and as they develop. I wouldn't want him to try to pick someone, a go-to guy right now anyway, because I don't think any of them are developed enough to put that on their back. I'm just trying to continue to teach John is what to throw into what. You see this coverage, these are the areas of the field you need to hit, no matter who's running the route. Before you can have a guy, you need to have a core. Say whatever you want about Corey Davis, and I love Corey Davis, love to have him, but Henry and Carrington were pretty darn good, and they helped. That was a core with a really great player, but we need to have a core before we can figure out who the great player is.
Coach, Buffalo, it seems to be much improved over last year. I watched a little tape. Tyree Jackson, I understand, is out for Saturday. They're big, strong.
He's good.
Culpepper quarterback.
Yeah.
They got a really good running back, and they got some good pieces. I interviewed their play-by-play guy yesterday, and he's really excited about this team. Can you talk about what you've seen on tape and what you face on Saturday?
I think I really like their offensive line. I think they're physical. I think they move their feet. They're together. They're with tight ends. I think they have a formidable front 5, 6, 7 if they get in 12 personnel, and their running back. So I really think that's one of their strengths. Obviously, they're number 4, I think, in the league in rushing. And they don't, because they're able to run the ball, their pass efficiency is good. They don't throw the ball much. But I think they can control the ball, which is kind of the same type of thing we try to do, Defensively, I think they're extremely sound. They remind me, Coach Johns and I are talking about, they remind me of kind of like Iowa. I don't know if in the coaching world, when you say Iowa, it means they keep everything in front of them. They play good defense. They have great leverage on the football. They don't try to get overly aggressive and give you easy ones. They're gonna play solid defense and make you earn everything you get. And I don't think they're gonna come try to knock our quarterback out with a 5-man to a side blitz. And that's why I think they're solid everywhere. You have to play great to beat them. They're not gonna try to fool you or knock your they could knock your quarterback out. Don't get me wrong, but I think they just play solid, smart football everywhere, and that's going to keep them in a lot of games. You're always going to be around in the end when you're playing solid football, stopping the run, keeping everything in front of you, and being able to run the ball. Now you're talking third, fourth quarter, 7-point games. you know, for them every game probably. Kentucky, they beat Rutgers, or no, that was Eastern. They're doing the same thing. My mind just went to Eastern because they're doing the exact same thing, playing great defense and running the ball. They should have been yeah. FAU they beat, you know, so they just kept, even with that FAU spread wide open. We're gonna, you know, they kept everything in front, make them run everything, make them run 12 plays to score, not one play to score, 12 plays to score. You know, that's their mentality. And a lot of teams can't run 12 plays without holding, jumping off sides, dropping a ball. You know what I mean? Like they kind of throw the rope on the field and say, go tie your own nose, you know? And a lot of teams, that's hard to do, you know? So I think they play a really smart brand of football. And then they have players that have been under coach for a couple years, and that's why I think they're gonna be in every game this year, you know?
Coach, going back to Darius, can you talk about what it says about his work ethic and football knowledge to be able to take in 3 new playbooks with the special teams offense and defense?
Yeah, he's extremely football smart. Like, he understands. He played wide receiver before, so it helps him a ton. He understands splits. The other day, we called a play. He was, you know, we're always working with our young receivers in their splits. And on this play, we want you 5 yards from the tight end. On this play, we want you 4 yards from the tight end. On this play, we want you 7. So they need to understand, depending on the play we call, to get your split into a line to execute, you know? Because there's certain times you need spacing between the slot and the tight end, and there's sometimes you don't want spacing, you know? So we're working with our young kids all the time on that. So Darius is in the slot, KJ calls the play, and Darius hears the play and adjusts his split immediately. Because he's football smart. He's like, okay, I'm doing this. Okay, I need to give myself a little bit more space. So he goes shuffle, shuffle, and I turn to look at KJ. I'm like, you know, I'm like, that's a football player right there. He wants to get himself open. He's not just like, I'm in the slot. It's not like a stick figure on a board. You know what I mean? He understands the nuances of a foot here makes a big difference. So he just did it naturally. We didn't tell him that. We just said, line up in the slot and run this route. And he adjusted himself, which I thought said a ton. You know, I looked at Kevin; he was just a big smile on his face, like a football player is a football player, you know. And but that's the kind of guy he is, and it shows. It doesn't. He never is confused. You know, he gets it, and he just focuses on going to make plays.
In his first series out on offense, you gave him the ball 3 consecutive plays. I think one of them got called back to it because of a penalty, but
No, I picked it up actually. It was a good pickup.
Yeah,
That was a good call by them because he didn't get him in the back.
And are you worried at all about him? His stamina getting burned out on one side of the ball?
If it's 3 plays, no. You know, if it's 3, 5, 7 touches, no. And actually, a lot of our plays we have for him are still options. You know what I mean? The third one, John didn't have to throw to him. You know, and I told John beforehand, I'm like, don't overdo this thing. Like, if we have an RPO on, I know that the pass option, the run pass option might be Darius, but you can still run the ball. You know. And, of course, he didn't listen. He still threw it to Darius again for the 3rd time. That's okay. But there's a lot we can do with him. You know, he can be part of the RPO game. He can be part of our pass game and our run. As people do things, it's going to just another thing to take the pressure off our run game that people are so dialed into trying to stop. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, the plan wasn't to give him the ball all 3 times. The reverse, yes. And the second play, if they played off him, we were just going to pop the ball out to him, and they did. And the 3rd play was John's option, and a lot of those plays are up to John, you know, on what he sees. And I have a feeling next time we put him out there in the slot, it might be a run read, because I'm assuming they're going to put a couple guys out there, you know. So he won't get the ball every time he's in there, but that's going to have to be shown as we move along.
Coach Leopold, Lance Leopold from Buffalo.
Yeah.
He was a legend in Wisconsin. Whitewater.
Oh, I played him.
I was just wondering if you had
Lost in the
experience.
playoffs. Yeah, we lost in the playoffs. I was the D coordinator at North Central College. Playoffs, 07, second round. We went to Whitewater. They got us.
You were the defensive?
I was the defensive coordinator. Yeah, against them. It was cold. It was like the coldest day I've ever been. I mean, it was miserably cold in Wisconsin. And the very first play, the ball was so cold and slippery, they rolled out. First play, quarterback just dropped the ball. He was just running and dropped it. It was like 17-yard loss. And I was like, hey, we might have a chance, you know? And next play, they ran inside zone for a 70-yard touchdown. And I was like, okay, here we go. This is because they had a running back, Beaver, I think his name was. He was transferred from Wisconsin, and he won the Heisman for Division III that year. He was really good, you know, and they were big, fat. I think they won the national championship that year. And But yeah, I face them, and it's different. They're running their offense a little bit differently now, but it's still the same sound. We're not gonna beat ourselves, philosophy, and he's a great coach. To win as much as he did there, that's impressive.
Coach, you played twice on the road, Coliseum and at Spartan Stadium. Now it's in that game. It's just different. Why is it different for you?
Well, we're 0-2. I told our team on Monday, I'm like, guys, I love numbers, but this is an easy one. You haven't won on the road yet, and so that's something we got to focus on. We got to get a good energy. I thought our energy on the sideline was great. I don't know if you guys could feel it, but it was fun to be on our sideline. And so we had 103 on the sideline. Now we're going to have 70, so we're going to have to create a little bit of energy and some juice on the sideline. It'll be different. I heard there's a track around the field. I don't know if that'll make it feel any different. We just have to focus on, showing up and playing for 60 minutes. I mean, we're a way different team than we were in week 1 and 2, but still we're 0-2 when we're away. So that's what I've been really pushing on them is as we get to our can we be consistent with our execution? Now we're saying can we execute like we have the last couple games away? And that's really what we're driving for this week.